everyone. Today I'm going to share with you guys how I study because this has been widely requested by people. And this is also how I prepared for my finals, so if some of you guys are already thinking about your finals, then maybe this is helpful for you guys as well. Alright, so first of all, the main thing that my study method is based on is keeping things compartmentalized and everything in one place so that you always know where it is. And I found that to be super useful because if you want to start studying and then you waste an hour just looking for your notes, that's wasted time that you could have spent on the subject itself. So that's why I use boxes. And I have 6 boxes, one for each subject. I already showed that in my dorm tour. And I'm just going to take 2 of them and show you guys what's in them. So first of all, I have global politics here. And inside, I just have a lot of flashcards. And this may look a little bit disorganized when looking at it first, but there's actually a system to it, so let's get into it. Alright, so all my flashcards are labeled as well. So you can see here that I have these like, sorry, it's not really focusing. Well, but I have these like little, yeah, like they're not really headlines, but yeah, like just I write down the unit or topic depending on which course it is, so that I know where what I'm studying actually connects to the course. And that really helps because many of the IB exams are structured according to topics or units, especially for subjects like history or global politics. You need to know what topic you're studying in order to pick the right question on the exam. So I just have these flashcards for all of the different units that you study in global politics, which is 4 units. So I just have like 4 stacks of flashcards. I connected them with these like rings because yeah, I found that just to be super helpful, and then they're easy to carry around and you can bring them on a bus if you're studying while going somewhere. I also have the key concepts of the course broken down because the course really builds on these key concepts. So these key concepts are like, not really theories, but like things that just exist in global politics, and you need to know them in order to really be able to answer a question. I also sometimes use some bigger flashcards, which you can see here, because some concepts are just too big or there's too much content to something that you cannot condense it on one flashcard, and that's why I like to use these. Occasionally, I also write sheets like this one here. This was actually a cheat sheet because my teacher allowed us to bring one sheet into our exam, so I tried to like make the most out of it. And yeah, it actually ended up being quite aesthetic, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep it. That helps me as well, but I found flashcards to be more convenient to just carry around. And I think if you have a little box like this, you can just take it and bring it to the library and open it up. Obviously, that's like from the perspective of someone who has a 2-minute walk to the library because we live on campus. Yeah, if you have a train ride or something, you might not want to bring your box, but yeah, I still find flashcards to be easier to carry around. Okay, and now I'm also going to show you guys what this looks like with biology, which is just a very different course structure in global politics. Global politics only has 4 units, and there's much less theory and content to the course itself. It's more based on case studies, which you gain through talking about them, through reading the news, etc. For biology, it's much more, this is the theory, this is the content you need to know, so there's more to write down. So here's my box for biology, and you see it's a lot fuller than my box for Global. So in bio we study 6 topics as standard level students plus an option, and yeah, here we go. So I have 7 stacks of flashcards. Yeah, you see I also like draw on them every once in a while because I just find it helpful, especially for bio if you have diagrams or anything. And yeah, that's just like a ton of flashcards. But, you know, it's kind of motivating. Like, it sounds stupid, but if you take, like, all of these flashcards, you put them on your table, and then one by one, you move one stack to the other side because you studied it, it just feels great because the stack which you studied just grows, and you can see your progress. I also have some bigger flashcards for biology, for certain things that I just felt like were too big to put on these small flashcards, like an entire carbon cycle or a diagram of the heart. So you can see that system can work for any kind of subject, and yeah, just basically get a box, put your flashcards in. Make sure your flashcards actually fit the box, but that usually isn't such a big problem. And there's one subject where I don't use flashcards, that is history. I have some flashcards for history, for things like key terms or key individuals in particular where I use it for, but I mainly use A4 sheets for history because history is just a lot of content, and I found it to be not really efficient to put it on flashcards because you just like keep turning the flashcards like until you're like at the end of just your timeline and you haven't even started studying like anything like that then links theories to your timeline. So that's why I found A4 sheets much more efficient for history. And I'm also going to show you guys what they look like. So this is what one of my study sheets for history looks like. And so you see it's still combined with a flashcard. So this flashcard here is the timeline of all the key events. And it's color-coded because every time the year changes, I change the color so that I know, oh, pay attention, which year are we in now. And then after that, I just have a lot of key terms. Oh jeez, I have a lot of key terms. And then we get to the actual content of the course. And for history, I just found that to be better because you can see, like, I can fill these pages quite easily. And now this looks like it's not that much, but, you know, in history, we studied that part, which was Nazi Germany. We studied Spanish Civil War, and then we also studied the move to global war. And we studied a lot of China, Qing Dynasty, and Communist China. And then we studied Japan until the Second World War. So yeah, and then here we go. That's quite a bit of paper, but just really helped me. For history in particular, what I like to do is I like to take these sheets and put a piece of paper next to it and write down the things I see on the sheet. And that just helps me memorize it. Because for history, there's so many dates and they're so easy to mix up. So by writing it all down, it just kind of like puts it in your brain. I don't know, like for me that method worked. For the flashcards, for me, it's usually enough to like flip through, read them like 2 to 3 times, and then I quiz myself on it, and it's usually fine. So what do you do now that you have all these notes, but you have not studied from them yet? What I would recommend is making a study plan. So what I did is I made a plan from February until May for my finals, and that was like my big picture plan. And my big picture plan was actually quite detailed. So what I did is I wrote down every event that I knew of at that point in time that would happen until May. So that was things like college celebrations, weekend trips, extracurriculars, literally anything, so that I knew how much time I'm going to have available on a particular day. And then I wrote down up to 3 things that I want to study on that day. And it was really important that I was being realistic with myself of how much I can get done on a particular day. And that's not just about how much time you actually have on that day, it's also about how tired are you going to be. If you have football before you can start studying, you know, you're going to be more tired, so you cannot get as much done as you want to, or you might actually have to take a nap. And that's okay, but you need to plan for it so that your study plan doesn't turn into this unrealistic dream that's never going to happen. And I found it super helpful to hold myself to these goals, because if you hold yourself to a plan and every day you tick it off, A, it's super satisfying, and B, you know what you're doing, and you don't feel like there's this like huge thing that you still have to get done, but you actually don't know how far you already are. And in order to also measure your progress, what I'd recommend is printing out the syllabus of your subject and then going through it and checking, is this on my flashcards, is it not? Because if it isn't, you want to put it there so that you don't sit in the exam and realize that you haven't studied that thing that's on the exam. Because that is a terrible feeling. So yeah, don't let that happen to you. The syllabuses for the IB are all available online, and your school should be able to provide you with them, so there's no issue with that. I think that's really important to know is that, like, I think you cannot start taking notes at the end of the year and think that's going to be enough. If you want to have effective flashcards that really allow you to succeed in your exams, you're going to have to work on these for the entire 2 years. The IB program is a 2 years program, and that means you cannot do all the work at the end of your 2 years. And I think that's really important to recognize. And my school really helped us a lot because they had sessions on study methods and stuff like that. So we were really aware of what we were getting ourselves into. And that helped me then come up with a method of making flashcards so that if I would sit there at the end of study leave, I'd only have like a few things left to do, but my notes and everything would be done. So study leave was actually only studying for me and not making notes. And I think that is a very effective thing to do. Like, personally, I found that to be helpful. But yeah, I mean, everybody's got to find their own method, But I would really recommend trying out a study plan. If you're not looking for studying for your finals but only for studying for tests, etc., then I would recommend making a weekly plan and not like such a long big picture plan, because very often teachers will only tell you a week in advance that you have a test. So that big picture plan would continuously change, and if you print it out, it's kind of a waste. So I would recommend just getting a planner and writing down your free goals for the day, writing down the absolute must to-dos, like things that you really cannot push another day, and to get them done. And yeah, I think it's satisfying to tick it off. Try to hold yourself to it, but also every once in a while ask yourself, what's my priority at the moment? And for some of you guys, that priority will be to go out with your friends at some point. But if you're aiming for, say, like going to a top university or, I don't know, whatever you want, just ask yourself if it's going to be important to have these grades. And if it is, hold yourself to this plan. If that is not the most important thing to you, which is totally fine, then by all means, go out and have some fun. And I think it's important that even if you have very high goals, every once in a while you should go out as well, and you should plan that in as well. Because if you don't have some fun on the side every once in a while, you're not gonna be very productive after a while. So make sure to go out with your friends and also enjoy life, because after all, 2 years of only studying is gonna be quite sad. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about my study method, about UWC in general, really anything, feel free to write me a message through my blog. I'm going to link it down below. And yeah, I hope you guys liked this video, and if you want to know more about my life here in Hong Kong and about the end of my UWC experience, then please check out my blog. Bye!